Awesome. Looks like the webinar is started. Let's get this shared out. Boom. Great. Well, good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining FCON 2025. My name is Roy Vreeland, and we're going to be talking today about open doors and opening minds, bypassing without breaking during physical pen tests. We're going to talk about non-destructive physical pen testing techniques, social engineering, and why it matters, especially relevant with the Louvre and everything going on there lately. We'll touch on that a bit more. So who am I? I am Roy Vreeland, Fulcrum designated ninja. I like that one. Oh, goodness. Yep. So for 10 years, I've been doing physical pen tests and had an absolute blast doing them. I come from the DoD and the intelligence community where they trained me in a whole bunch of fun tradecraft, getting in physical access to all sorts of places from financial institutions to banks, nuclear power plants, healthcare, you name it, high net worth individuals' homes. So I've been lucky enough to legally, of course, break into places and do fun things. Primarily when it comes to physical pen testing, we focus on non-destructive techniques. We don't want to be the guys, and I know it's cool in movies, cutting barbed wire to get access to a place, kicking in doors, doing what it takes to gain access, but that's not how it goes in real life. Um, Generally, things that happen are much more covert. You're not going to notice all this, which is great. And if you know me, you'll notice that this is not my picture. AI was nice enough to generate this image when I put in the prompt for experienced cybersecurity expert. And I can't help but feel like it looks like our CEO Randall a little bit. So I don't know, weird AI, what's going on there? All right, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about becoming invisible, using and leveraging the human aspect to seamlessly integrate into any environment. Trying to sneak into places, this is particularly handy. We'll talk about electronic skeleton keys, as we like to call them, things using the Flipper Zero RFID technology, badge cloning, the whole kit and caboodle. Paths of least resistance. So on a physical pen test, ways that we can get in there, things you might not think about in order to gain physical access to a valuable area. Unexpected routes, this covers this as well. And then finally, we'll talk about business use cases, business processes, vulnerabilities, and securing the human element of things. So with that, coffee time. Let's go. All right, so what's the philosophy behind what we're talking about here? In general, physical security is very often overlooked, and the stat that I like is 70% of organizations will experience a physical security breach uh, annually, and they typically go unnoticed. This could be anything from tailgating into a secure area, not using the right kind of credentials to get in, sneaking past guards, even if it's unintentional. This kind of stuff happens a ton. And what we really want to do here during a physical pen test is emulate an insider threat, an adversary, a disgruntled employee, and be able to show where these things happen and shed light on them. Because when they go unnoticed, you can't learn. There's been so much mindset shift around physical security in the last few years. Generally, I think most people tend to uh, think movies like Sneakers, crawling in through ceiling panels, stealing the specific thing, the super valuable artifact, whatever it might be. That's not the case anymore. The modern reality is that the workspaces are changing. Where we put things is changing. And it's really about understanding human psychology as the weakest link to be able to gain access to all sorts of incredible different resources. The most successful pen tests really don't rely on picking locks or kicking down doors. It just takes advantage of the human element of things. Since COVID, things have changed so much. I mean, pre-COVID, most people worked in person at the place they work at. Remote work was kind of a thing at the time, but post-pandemic, so much has changed. Um, Nowadays, we have shared co-working spaces. You'll have hybrid employee roles, individuals coming in and out of a business on a regular basis. And These generate huge gaps that can be taken advantage of by attackers. They're also not really accounted for in traditional security models, which makes it a real problem to identify and quantify. Some of the other examples are hot desking, open layouts, 24/7 access. This is a big one. Companies allowing employees to come to their facilities really any time of day to get work done. So it's normal, it's become the new norm to have these fresh faces in an environment. Trust is the master key, right? So when it comes to talking about human psychology, there's a few key areas where me as a physical pen tester can really focus and leverage on in order to gain access to places I shouldn't normally have access. The first of these is authority. So if anyone's perceived to have authority, oftentimes, like subconsciously, our brains will just kind of let them do what they want to an extent, right? So if you have a confident demeanor and say you're walking through uh, a lobby of a building, a nice business office, and you're in a suit and tie with a suitcase and walking with confidence, guess what? You've got authority. You look like someone who knows what they're doing and is confident in doing that. You can use that to help get yourself into different places. Social proof is another huge one that we like to talk about because when others accept you, people assume that you belong. So this could be as easy as um, walking with another person if you're working on an operation and you have someone else with you there on your team. Two people are more powerful than one in this case because two implies that, oh, you're a team. You're supposed to be there once again. It's normal. Also is the familiar face effect. So if you're the receptionist in the lobby of a building and you see the same faces every day, you're not going to question it when you see them walk by right past the guards doing their thing. You're also going to be far less suspicious if they come to you one day and ask for, say, oh, I forgot my badge. I need a new temporary one. Let's get in there. Reciprocity. This one is one of my favorites. Small acts of kindness that you can do. This is manipulative and can get pretty dark quick, but like doing a small favor for someone, and it's human nature to want to give and help and to do things back. So this could be anything, leveraging the psychological debt. It feels creepy and a little bit icky to do some, but alas, we got to break into buildings, so we'll do what we have to. Small acts of kindness, holding a door for someone is fun. So one way that I like to piggyback into doors is so say there's like normal traffic in and out. If someone is coming out of a door, I'll hold the door open to an area that I'm not supposed to be, and I'll wait for the next person behind me to come up, and I'll hold it for them. Even if you're supposed to badge in each time, being able to just hold the door open, say, "Here you go, man," and then they typically don't question when you just walk in right behind them, even if they've never seen your face before. So that's pretty entertaining. Time pressure. Urgency will mess with your head. This is very common when it comes to salespeople as well. They'll put a time crunch on it, right? So if you've gone to buy a car at any point, they'll say, "Oh, what's it going to take to get this today?" Or, "Oh, this deal is going to be gone tomorrow, so you have to make a choice today." That time pressure is such a critical piece of the puzzle, and it will force people to make a decision quickly. And if you have the confidence and perceived authority to be in a space, more often than not, under time pressure, people will crunch and let you do your thing. Developing pretexts. This is a pretext is building the story for why you're supposed to be in a place. And these roles that you build are critical. Because if the story that you have for why you need to be in a specific space you're not supposed to be in is weak, you're going to get called out. You're not going to have confidence in that, and you're going to, most likely fail your mission. So some of the top ones that I've used that work phenomenally well. Number one, maintenance worker. Chris, you're going to love that. It's if you put on like a bright yellow vest, a work vest, a hard hat, you can have your clipboard. No one's going to mess with you. You can walk into all kinds of crazy places and just do whatever the heck you want. It's pretty incredible how often this works, especially because I think maintenance workers generally have a little bit of a disgruntled attitude, if you will. "Arr, I need to do my job. Just get in there, move, let me by." Very effective, works great. Delivery person. I feel like this one, you can look at it a couple different ways, but with larger companies that have loading docks in their buildings, this can be a very effective way to get information, identify access points, and do that. But also with delivery people, especially since COVID, think DoorDashers. If I'm pretending to be a DoorDasher, I'll come up, I'll buy some ramen because I love ramen, go into a building and say, oh, this is for so and so. I'll have done some research in the past to build my proper pretext and say, oh, I've got to deliver this to the 26th floor, if you will. We need to get this up there to so and so. And being able to do that with and being a driver like that gives you the confidence and the ability, the pretext to get into these places, even if it's just to the lobby. Oftentimes, building that familiar face is a huge aspect of this too. So, multifaceted approach there with delivery person. IT support. Here's where we can start throwing around technical jargon because being approached by someone and have them say, oh, I need to double check your LSAS and make sure that your credentials haven't been Kerber roasted. Uh, no one's going to know what that means. I don't, that's not even a thing. But if you say it with confidence to someone posing as IT staff, this could be a great way to gain access to a computer if you're already in a space, get access to a server room, or otherwise authenticate to them that you have a need to be there, leveraging that authority. I lump interview candidates and new employees kind of into the same boat here. You can get away with a pretty high level of ignorance as these two roles, right? Because new employees, they don't know where they're going, they don't know what they're doing. You can play just the sort of discombobulated, oh, I don't know where I am. Is this the way to the server room? Or hey, could you tell me why doesn't my badge work to get into here? Or how do I break or not break in? How do I gain access to this place? And same with interview candidate. You can play the dumb card with this one as well. Walk into the lobby and just be a panicked mess. Oh my goodness gracious, I have an interview and I've spilled coffee on my resume. Would you please print me a new copy off of this convenient USB drive? Very effective. I've used that one once before and it worked well. So I think that yeah, playing the ignorance role can be quite solid when it comes to interview candidates, new employees, and building a pretext. Hidden in plain sight. So again, let's talk about a couple of these specific roles, some of the psychological factors that influence them, as well as what we might do to be able to leverage these. So cleaning crews. It's generally assumed that a cleaning crew is going to show up uh, after hours at the end of the day, sometime in there. They have full unfettered access to everything in the building and no one really questions them. They're going to do their thing. So they're third party contracted. There can be a bunch of turnover in those roles. And it's expected again that they will be all over the building doing what they do. So the cleaning crew role is a great pretext and good way to go, especially if you've already compromised a badge and just need an excuse to use it. Because a CEO walking around or a person in a suit and briefcase walking around at 8 p.m. inside of an empty business building might raise more red flags than a cleaning crew. Security guards, a lot of the time have the helper mentality. Like they're there generally to make sure people are safe, to help them out. And this is again, most people. Most people want to help out. They are there to keep things safe and they will absolutely ask questions, but you can leverage that to make friends with the security guard. Let's say you walk by them every single day and say hi, get to know them a little bit. You can leverage that access for a later time when, oh, suddenly the key that you never had in the first place is lost and you need help getting into an area. That familiarity can be very, very helpful with this. Maintenance technicians, we talked about these a bunch. Also, tool bags, great place to hide goodies and laptops and all sorts of nefarious things. So yeah, love us a maintenance tech. And food delivery, time pressure advantage. Again, we talked about this one a bit, but Roy needs his ramen. We need to get it up there. Let's go. I think I might be hungry this morning. Ramen. What's the framework for conducting a social engineering exercise? First, and one of the most important pieces is research. Research. OSINT, open source intelligence gathering. Highly recommend you check out Danny's talk. I think it's next, in fact. He goes deep dive into OSINT and the cool things you can do with that. Absolutely awesome. Important piece of the puzzle. Looking online, looking through open source means to understand the target you're going after. Recon, this will be on more on the physical side. Physically identify entry points, considerable ways that you can get into a building, who and what are moving around the property, if any, at different times, and start developing pretext. Getting that cover story in and figure out the way that you're going to go about this. Finally is going to be execution. Uh, the fun part, when you get to go try to sneak into a building, gain access to a server room, plug in your USB drive with goodies on it, and steal secrets. But the most fun part, obviously, documentation, writing reports, sharing with the vulnerabilities with a customer, and helping them understand like how and why and what went wrong. This part I do actually enjoy quite a bit. Maybe not the report writing part so much, but sharing that knowledge and having customers really understand the impact of what they're doing in this and the physical risks that are out there. Okay, so we have talked about a lot of the human aspect of things. Let us break into some RFID. We're not going to do technical deep dives today, but we're going to cover high level approaches that are out there. RFID is absolutely everywhere. I mean, it's in most big buildings, apartment buildings, garages, gated entry to so many things are RFID now, even mail rooms, et cetera, et cetera. They're basically everywhere. There's we'll call it the legacy system, and then the more modern systems, 125 kilohertz HID Proxmarks. They're still out there everywhere, and these are RFID badges that are very easily clonable. You can read all the data on the card, and you can change the data on the card, redeploy it, and get yourself access to all sorts of things. There's no encryption on these, so everything on these cards can just be read in plain text. Easy cheesy. A number of years ago, a more modern, safer system came out with some encryption, 13.5 megahertz system, and it's fine. It's still RFID. It's not perfect, but it does make things a little more tricky for an attacker. You'll see these in most modern hotel rooms, but you can still clone and emulate these based off challenge response from different card and reader systems. All right, what are some of the tools out there? I think the first one to talk about is the Flipper Zero. They're everywhere. They're a great tool. They're a ton of fun. They're popular in the hacker community, and these little gizmos do it all, right? It's a pocket-sized little nugget that you can carry around and clone RFID. You can get a Wi-Fi dev board for it and start doing fun Wi-Fi attacks, evil twin attacks, clone attacks. Heck, you can even take a flipper and turn up the volume on your neighbor's TV if you want to with RF or IR. It's a lot of fun. There are other options in the RFID world too. You have your DIY approach if you want to build something with an Arduino. We've got other budget options. Heck, even on Amazon, you can find a simple RFID cloning tool. So say they're designed for valid use cases, legal use cases, where say you're in an apartment building, you have one RFID tag for your apartment itself, you have another for the mailroom, and a third for the garage. You can clone all of these onto one singular little device for like 30, 40 bucks, and then just use that one gizmo to let you in when you need to. The Proxmark 3 is kind of the big daddy of, yeah, we'll call it professional grade RFID. Although the Flipper, in terms of features, really isn't that far behind it in terms of capabilities. The Proxmark is a great tool. Yeah, does lots of fun stuff. Um, my setup for badge cloning is based off of a Proxmark and also using a HID, what is it, MaxiProx 5375. It's a twin coil reader about this big, and it's absolutely awesome because with most of these approaches, with most of these tools, you've got a limited range in which you can scan an RFID badge if you wanted to clone it. However, with this setup that originally Bishop Fox came out with years ago, it's based off of that. The twin coil reader, you can get 18 to 24 inches away and be able to clone a badge. Absolutely awesome. Big fan of it, so I'll wear it in my satchel, man purse, whatever you call them these days. I don't know. Wear it over here and hang out in a coffee shop by a client building, or even just walking around a lobby, and you'll come out of there with 5, 6, 10 plus different reads of cards, which is a ton of fun. 10-second badge clone. I think this is even generous, right? It doesn't take 10 seconds to copy a badge. This is 10 seconds from going to approach the target all the way to having a valid rewritten card, cloned card from the get-go. So we'll break it down. 2 seconds to approach your target. Awesome. Get close enough. We'll call it, in this case, if we're using a nice antenna, 18 inches. 18 inches isn't too far away, especially when you consider like lines at coffee shops, crowded lobbies, turnstiles. If you just walk by these areas, these common bottlenecks, it's very easy to get close enough to a target. Brief contact. This says 3 seconds, but really depends on the conditions. A lot of companies will just have you wear your lanyard around your neck with the badge on it. Some will be off of the waist, so you kind of have to prepare for that a little bit and understand where these things might be. They might have their badge in a backpack. The device will confirm. This says 1 second, but it happens instantaneously. You can set up a lighter vibration to confirm it, but just keep it off. You don't need more noise or attention drawn to you doing this stuff. Yeah, and write to blank and test on reader another couple of seconds. If you wanted to do a one-to-one direct clone, sure, you could set this up this way, but in all reality, what I'll do is walk through an area, clone as many badges as I possibly can, take them offline, sift through them, try to figure out which ones are which, unless I'm targeting a specific individual, write a few, or have the ability to rewrite a few. Like that's where the flipper comes in handy. You can simply walk through on the screen your list of badges, clone, it'll write it to the new card, and then you can just rip it out. Cool. What are some other ways that we can get badges if we can't do passive RFID capture? Well, shoulder surfing and photography are absolutely awesome. With these lovely little gizmos, our phones today have such good cameras, good lenses are everywhere. You can take a photo of a badge from 10 feet away and have decent enough resolution to either Photoshop, AI, or put a badge together from that. Print it out, laminate it on a fake badge, whatever it might be, and you're good to go. Nation states have been doing this for years, even with DSLRs and really good lenses on their cameras from a long way away. Take photos of the badges of employees. This was a big problem for the DoD in like 2010. Yeah, people would sit right off of bases, take photos of ID cards as they were being handed from the drivers of cars trying to get into a military base to the guard. They'd take photos of them and then use that to clone and make their own badge. Creepy. Dumpster diving and waste analysis. This is honestly, I don't like hanging out in dumpsters that much, but this is a wonderful way to learn about a target, is what's in their trash. I know if you looked in my trash, you'd see like, yeah, too much DoorDash, ramen bowls, and who knows what else. But alas, waste analysis and secure trash disposal is a very important thing that most big organizations they do consider with when it comes to PII, PHI, whatever it might be, but still, you can find a lot of things in here. Tailgating and piggybacking, that's not a badge acquisition strategy, that's an entry strategy, but still. And then a direct request. If you wanted to just ask someone for a new badge for a replacement, very much possible to do that depending on the context. All right, more RFID. How do we get around some RFID readers? We're humans. Sometimes we'll leave the default pin in place there. 0000, sure. 1234, maybe. Most common one I see is 6969 because humans, and we're silly critters. We're silly critters. Uh, skeleton cards, call these master cards, technician cards, the cards that they'll give to the cleaners of a building that need access to everything. If you can get your hands on these, you're in great shape. Fail open attacks. A lot of devices these days, especially when it comes to access control, are required to fail open in the case of certain events. This is for safety reasons. So if the power goes out to a building and there's a fire, you want to be able to get out, even if all the doors electronically latch. So fail open attacks are absolutely a thing. If you can develop a little EMP or power cycling vulnerability, a lot of the times you can get away with accessing these. Wire bypass. So if you think, where do you see RFID readers? You'll see them a lot of the time for entry to buildings or otherwise, like the Gate King ones that have the keypad and an RFID reader right next to it. These are great because they also allow there's a key in there that allow you to open up the front panel, and it's a key you can buy on Amazon that's universal to all these things. Open that bad boy up, and inside, oftentimes there's a postal switch to allow the postal workers or package delivery the ability to get in. So you don't even need to fiddle with the RFID if you just have this $2 key off Amazon, throw it in there, push the button, get right in. Okay, electronic lock vulnerabilities. We're not going to go deep into this. They're not perfect. Smart locks, electronic lock systems, everything else. Um, but power failure modes, fail safe, fail secure, network connectivity. A lot of the time, I mean, look at DNS. Blame DNS. It's always DNS. If you can shut off DNS to certain systems, you can leverage that. Firmware and software, tie this into, call it supply chain. We've been seeing more of this in the last few years. Physical bypass, touch on that. REC sensors, request to exit sensors, blowing in compressed air through the top of an exit doorway to trick the motion sensor to letting you in. Electromagnetic interference. Yeah, again, this ties back into like fail open, EMP. You can build a tiny little EMP out of a disposable camera, or used to when you could buy disposable cameras. Can you buy disposable cameras anymore? I don't know. I don't know. All right, so we talked a lot of the electronic stuff. Let's dive into more of the physical side of things. The lock mechanism itself. All right, locks are great. And if you were with us at DEF CON this year, you saw locks get wild. The American lock 1100. Whew, that was a time. That was great. But realistically, we're not all the lock picking lawyer, right? That guy's amazing for one, but we typically don't get into a door by picking the lock. It looks sexy. It is super fun and gratifying to get, but that is not very often that you actually pick locks to gain access to places. Call it frame integrity. So this will be things like incorrectly installed strike plates, uh, wood frame construction with some flex in the door casing, shimming will allow you to get into a lot of these doors with a simple slip tool. Also, frame integrity is going to be things like under door tools, right? So a nice little, because of fire code in commercial buildings, the requirement is a door lever rather than a door knob, right? You have to be able to find this and turn the lever to be able to get out. We can take advantage of that with an under door tool that we'll talk about in the next slide, but a way to sneak under the door and pull the lever down to get in or out. Alternative entry. Yeah, again, go watch the movie Sneakers. It's amazing if you haven't seen already. One of the most underrated films on pen testing, physical access I think I've seen. So alternative entry would be climbing in through the ceiling, finding adjacent windows that you can sneak in through, doing all sorts of creative stuff, crawling through ductwork. Yeah, I haven't done that, but that'd be a flex. That'd be a flex. And then the other 25% will be social bypass. Someone opens the door from the inside. Ask for help. This is where our pretexts come into play. Use humans. All right, great. We've got some tools. Okay, so on the left, top left, it will be our under door tool. You can't see the whole thing, but essentially it's a nice, long, flexible piece of metal with a little string lasso on the end. And the goal is to get it under the door, flip it up to where the lasso can reach the door handle, get the lasso around it, and then pull the string, as we can see in the picture, which will tighten the lasso, and then pull the tool down to open the door. 60% of the time, it works every time. Honestly, these are phenomenal tools and they come in very handy on a physical pen test. Gap wedges, air wedges. Oftentimes you'll see these for gaining extra entry to frameless windows in cars, but also work great for door jams. If you put it between the door and the door casing, you can open it up just enough to get a tool in there, one of these other tools in there, which is absolutely great. And these things you can buy for $5 on Amazon too. The J looking tool, is what's called a door turn tool. These are super handy, especially for commercial doors when there's like let's say two doors that open like so, and there's some weather stripping in the middle. You can use a tool like this in between them and put the little C-shaped notch on the thumb turn on the inside of the door, and then use the black part of the handle to turn it. It pivots it and rotates it, and then turns the door, unlocks the door for you from the outside. Super handy. These are really, really fun. And then on the far right is going to be like a more traditional shim or a means of just sliding the door open. You can do this with a credit card sometimes. Last year, FCON, we sent out a nice little Sparrows door tool, which was great, and things of that sort. Another one to talk about is magnetic bypass tools. In my go bag, one of my favorite things that comes in way more handy than you might think is a neodymium rare earth magnet, because whether it be like a small handheld safe or modern smart locks, a ton of these things just have a simple like spring and a wedge inside them where if you can put the magnet on the lock body itself and move it around, you'll hear things moving and clicking and turning, and it's strong enough to pull the little lever back to allow the door to open right up. Very fun. Love magnets. Okay, maintenance access points. Yeah, again, HVAC access panels, this is definitely a thing you can do. Good luck getting that into your scoping documents realistically. If we can make that happen, I'd love to give it a shot one day, but have yet to do that. However, utility closets, service corridors, loading docks, service entrances, 10 out of 10, big fan. Absolutely love these things. Roof access and ladder points, these could be viable also. Most roof access is locked from the inside, but desperate times call for desperate measures. Basement tunnels and again, service passages. Look for things that aren't the main entry areas. There might be a camera on them, but if you can sneak inside and evade the security, you're set. You're set. All right. Business processes. Coffee. The number one most important business process is indeed caffeine, in my opinion. Okay, so what business processes lend themselves to poor physical security? These are going to be things like delivery services. Again, there's that loading gate. Interview and candidate tours. If you're opening up your facility to let people you hardly know in and through and showing them your crown jewels, you're asking for trouble. We've seen this before with clients where, yeah, this is a part of our interviewer candidate tours, or they just do public tours for certain industries. Think energy, see it a bunch there. Hey, come on back. Look at our new state-of-the-art server room. Sweet. Thanks. Heck yeah. Client meetings and demos can also be a means of gaining intel or physical access to different locations. As businesses, we want to woo our customers and make them feel good in using us. We want to show off our things and stuff, but this can also backfire. So just be aware, be cognizant that some of these visitors may not always have the best intentions. And finally, on this slide, emergency services and urgent response. This one is, yeah, if there's a equipment failure, a health issue, even environmental stuff going on, this is huge. I think, yeah, the goal of this is not to say like, hey, watch out for people pretending to be firefighters, but rather if there's a fire, the chaos that ensues is then the perfect time for people to get into places they shouldn't be. Which brings us into environmental exploitation. Weather, noise making, construction, and seasonal holidays and such. anytime there's activity outside of the norm, that can be leveraged as a physical threat. Um, those are the things that we look for and wait for as physical pen testers to be able to like seal the deal to be able to gain access to different things. What about time-based vulnerabilities? Early in the morning, typically not the best time to get in. I think the peaks here in this graph really just kind of highlight, all right, people coming into office buildings in the morning, people coming into work in the morning when there's the most people, when they haven't had their coffee, see, coffee, business process, is the prime time for people to be sneaking in or at least doing recon and checking out an area. Lunch is another one, as well as end of day. People seem to care less about things at the end of the day for some reason, probably because the coffee wore off. These are prime times to be able to, yeah, they're temporal vulnerabilities that allow you to gain access to different places. So what do we do about all this? We've talked about breaking in, creating pretext, finding ways, flaws in RFID, door casings, whatever it might be. I really think that if we had a challenge culture in most organizations, things would be very, very different. We as people are generally really nice and helpful and kind, but I think if we are able to develop a culture where we can actually ask people and not feel bad about it, not feel like we're being a jerk. Hey, man, I don't recognize you around here. Who are you? That shouldn't be out of the norm, right? Being able to ask people or call them out for things is going to be absolutely huge. I think another one is escalation procedures. How many people can honestly say that they know exactly who to call if they saw something a little bit suspicious? Would you call your supervisor? Would you call the building manager? Would you call building security? Do you have their phone number? Do you know how to get a hold of them if you need to, right? Or do you call 911? You just go straight to making a scene out of it. Understanding those escalation procedures is going to be critical. All right, recognition training program. So give people kudos for doing the right thing, right? This is where pen tests come in extremely handy. If you get called out on a pen test, we want to laud the heck out of that person who did that. Training and awareness updates, letting people know that, hey, yes, this is a very real risk. And again, like our one of our first slides was 70% of orgs will have a physical security breach at some point, right? And that's to the tune of over $1 billion a year in damages and loss that can come from something like that. Defense in depth with cyber, with anything else, is typically the way to do it. You don't just rely on one single security control and assume that everything's good. Just like you wouldn't install just CrowdStrike on your internal networks and have everything else be completely unpatched, assuming it will do everything for you. Not the move here, not the move with physical security either. Multi-factor authentication is where most people should start. Something you have, right, like a badge, something you know, a PIN code, and something you are, biometrics. Great combination, right? Biometrics are expensive, but if you can implement them in an effective way, wonderful tool. You can't spoof that. You can, but that's nation state adversary stuff. Real-time monitoring and analytics. That's going to be absolutely massive too. So AI cameras and systems out there now. This ties into visitor management. They're getting very, very good at being able to seamlessly loop in video feeds, audio feeds, everything else under the sun to be able to identify nefarious activity or anomalous anything. Absolutely great. Okay, here's some things that we can put in place right from the get-go in any company to help out with physical security. Number one, mandatory escort requirements, right? So if there's someone in your space that's not a full-time employee, they need to be escorted. It's that simple. It's that simple. That way, if someone sees someone walking around they don't recognize, it's much easier to call out, identify, and put a stop to anything else going on there. Badge verification procedures. Look at onboarding and offboarding, right? These are absolutely huge. Are we taking the right steps as a company to make sure that Billy, who got fired for being a hood rat, is now trying to do nefarious things? Is his badge still active? Can he still come in and do stuff? The answer should be no. We need to have these procedures in place and policies in place to be able to stop them. All right, access rights audits. Same with cybersecurity in general. Principle of least privilege applies here. Not everyone needs full access to the entire building. You can segment this down and make sure that things are safe, especially your crown jewels. And then have incident response protocols in place. If there's an emergency, what do people do? Have tabletops. Tabletops are absolutely awesome for this very, very thing. Continuous improvement. Again, this will be annual pen testing, love it. Employee reporting systems, continuous improvement, and unannounced drills. These are huge. And ultimately, what it comes down to is security is about people, not just technology. It's not about having the best lock on your door. It's, are the people in the building there? Are they present? Do they know what to do? Do they know what to expect? And can we be good at this? Physical security should absolutely be a cybersecurity priority. Non-destructive methods reveal reality because, again, we're not all picking locks and kicking in doors. Employee awareness is your strongest defense, and regular testing will help validate that effectiveness. Cool. We've got an implementation roadmap. We're not going to jump into all this because we're about out of time, but we've got steps for it, and we want every company to be safe in cyber, physical, all that. Okay, questions. Let's see here.
Yes, I think we had a few posted in Q&A if you want to check those, Roy. Some good questions for you.
Yes, let us see here. Oh, did I break it? I broke it.
I can read them out to you if you can't see them on your screen.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yep. First question from Colin was, how has your job changed significantly since COVID?
Oh, that's a great question, Colin. So things have gotten way easier for me since COVID, honestly. Um, and I think a lot of that is because of the remote workspace, the assumption of hybrid roles, and the question asking culture has kind of gone away. You lose the familiarity with who you work with and how, to where, yeah, since COVID, things have been much easier, which is wild.
Yeah. All right. Next question from Chris Russell. What is your favorite low-tech way to gain covert entry outside of social engineering? I think you covered a few of those with Windows and Ducks. Um,
Yes, yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
And
Outside of
then
social engineering, oh my goodness, door turn tools. They're a go-to. You can hide them in a backpack. They fold up nice, slide right under there, pop the door open, and you're good to go.
awesome. And then last question, also from Chris Russell, is you spoke about timing your entry. When attempting to tailgate slash make a social entry, do you prefer highest traffic to blend in or mid traffic where you can get light interaction to build trust?
Great question. That's going to depend on the engagement itself. So, do I have a good pretext set up? Do I know the route that I'm going to take? In some of these cases, high traffic is great to try to blend in. I'll do that if I clone a badge from someone in like a coffee shop or the lobby. But if I'm going for a different route, like maintenance worker, it doesn't really matter. It can be low traffic, something like that, where you're just like, hey, I'm here to do my job, man, going in. So that.
Awesome. Two more questions. I said that was the last one, but we got two more here. John Bernard asked, how do you scope a physical pen test to ensure you don't cross legal boundaries while still providing realistic results?
Sure thing, sure thing. The more detail, the better. Look at cases like, uh, who was it? Another big cybersecurity company a few years ago, their physical pen testers got arrested because they weren't very clear in the scope about the specific locations and timing of their assessment. The cops got called on them, which does happen sometimes, but the scope of the pen test was outside of what they were up to, and they got arrested. It was not good. So I think just details, really sitting down, having that full-fledged conversation about everything is step one to make sure that you are all on the same page about what to expect, the results we can bring, and how to handle stuff.
Awesome. And then last question, can you share a memorable or surprising success story where an obvious vulnerability was overlooked? That I know you have a lot of them. Can you share any of them? I think is the key key phrase there.
Sure, 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 sure. Okay, yeah. Big Fortune 15 client in this case had their strike plates on their doors installed backwards, so for their exterior doors, and so you could simply come up and pull the door open from the outside. It's like, what the heck is going on here? So that was a lot of fun. We've got more, but we're also short on time because
Yeah.
Danny's talk's coming up, and that's going to be sick.
Yes, very much looking forward to Danny's talk next. So please, everybody, stick around for that if you can. And then, just as a reminder, these are all being recorded. We will post them, share the slides. But if you have any follow-up questions or want to interact with Roy, if you go to the main lobby of FCON and click on the speakers tab, it's got his bio there as well as the option to chat with him there. So definitely utilize that if you have any follow-up questions. Thank you, Roy. Fantastic talk as always.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks all.